The galaxy had never seen a fleet like the Tharkai. Their ships were enormous, shaped like dark shards of crystal, glowing faintly with energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. For decades they had watched Earth from afar, studying humans through their sensors and long-range scanners. To them, humans seemed weak, slow, and primitive. Their technology was basic, their governments chaotic, and their weapons small compared to the vast fleets of the Tharkai. Commander Varn, a tall alien with shimmering blue skin and eyes like molten silver, was certain of it. Humans could not fight back. They would surrender easily. As the Tharkai fleet moved closer to Earth, its enormous shadows stretched across the sky. They blocked the sun in some areas, and the people on the ground felt the sudden chill of fear. Sirens blared in cities, while millions of citizens looked upward, staring at the massive ships that dwarfed the moon. In orbit, the Tharkai vessels began scanning the planet, their sensors probing for signs of military resistance. Varn's voice, calm and commanding, echoed through the alien bridge. "Prepare to engage. The humans will be easy prey." On Earth, the news arrived instantly. Satellite networks detected the incoming ships, and governments around the world went into emergency protocols. In a large command center located under the Rocky Mountains, Captain James Porter paced back and forth. His uniform was simple, but his expression carried the weight of the world. Beside him, Lieutenant Emma Hall monitored multiple screens, showing live feeds from space and Earth's orbiting satellites. She could see the alien ships reflected in the monitors, each one massive and deadly looking. "Captain," Emma said, her voice steady but tense, "they are positioning themselves above the major cities. Their scans are active. We can see they are analyzing our defenses." James nodded, trying to remain calm even as his heart raced. "We don't know how strong they really are, but we do know this: they've underestimated us. That's our advantage. Get the fleet ready. Everyone must be on alert. We fight no matter what." In another part of the command center, Dr. Peter Collins, a scientist with thin spectacles and messy hair, worked frantically at a console filled with blinking lights. He had spent years preparing for the possibility of alien contact, but nothing could have prepared him for this moment. Earth had hidden defense systems, satellites armed with experimental energy weapons, underground bunkers with prototype drones, and shields that could protect small areas from heavy bombardment. Few people knew about them, but now all of that technology was about to be put to the test. "Dr. Collins, status report," Captain Porter demanded. Collins adjusted his glasses and took a deep breath. "All systems are online. The hidden defenses are ready. The satellites are armed and the drones are in position. If the aliens move too close, we can respond immediately." James allowed himself a small nod of approval. "Good. Emma, alert the pilots. They need to be in their ships and prepared for immediate launch. We won't just defend, we will fight back." Meanwhile, on the streets below, people were running in panic. Traffic jammed roads as citizens tried to escape the cities they feared would be hit first. Emergency services struggled to maintain order, but the sight of the alien fleet above was terrifying. Children clung to parents, people prayed, and some even shouted angrily at the sky, not understanding what could possibly be done. Yet, amidst the chaos, there were moments of courage. Volunteer rescue teams moved quickly to help those in danger. Police and soldiers tried to guide civilians to safety. Ordinary humans, who had lived their entire lives thinking of the stars as distant and unreachable, were suddenly facing the most terrifying beings they had ever imagined. And in that fear, determination was born. The Tharkai, confident in their superiority, began small attacks to test human defenses. Energy pulses shot toward orbital satellites, destroying some immediately. But the humans were ready. Earth's hidden shields activated, absorbing the brunt of the alien strikes and preventing major damage. Fighter jets scrambled into the sky, though against the alien ships they seemed like toys. Yet the pilots did not falter. Captain Porter watched from the command center as one of the alien energy blasts hit the outskirts of London. The explosion was massive, but thanks to the shields, damage was limited. "They think they can scare us," he said quietly. "They will learn we do not give up." In the orbit above, Emma Hall piloted her fighter carefully, keeping a close eye on the nearest Tharkai ship. Her hands were steady on the controls, her mind racing through the maneuvers she had practiced 100 times in simulation. "I see a weak point in their formation," she said into her communicator. "If we can strike it, we might disrupt their alignment." Dr. Collins, monitoring from below, quickly calculated the trajectory. "You have a small chance, but it could work. Timing is everything." Emma nodded. "Understood. I'll take the shot." At that moment, the humans' courage began to shine. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were not helpless. Ordinary men and women, trained pilots, and brilliant scientists worked together. Improvised strategies, quick thinking, and sheer determination became their weapons. The Tharkai had expected easy victories, but humans were unpredictable. Humans were clever. Varn, observing the situation from his bridge, frowned. Why are they resisting? This should be simple. Why do they fight so persistently? His officers were silent. They had never encountered a species like this. In the galaxy, they had always defeated enemies through sheer power. But humans were different. They did not retreat, they did not surrender, and they adapted rapidly. Even now, as small human ships darted between the massive alien vessels, Varn could feel the first hints of doubt. Back on Earth, Captain Porter turned to Emma and Dr. Collins. We don't know how this will end. We may lose some battles, but we cannot lose hope. Humanity has survived disasters before, and we will survive this. Our planet, our people, and our future depend on it. Emma nodded. We fight with everything we have. No matter what. Collins added, and remember, they think we are primitive. That is our advantage. They do not understand what humans can do when pushed to the edge. We will show them our strength. As the first part of the battle began, humans prepared to defend their world with courage and creativity. Though the Tharkai fleet was massive and terrifying, they had underestimated one simple truth. Humans were not weak. Humans never gave up. And on this day, as the alien ships loomed above, that determination would begin to shine like a beacon across the galaxy. The skies were filled with fear, energy pulses, and roaring engines. On Earth, ordinary people looked up in awe and terror. In orbit, humans and aliens faced each other, two very different species, one battle and countless unknown outcomes. The Tharkai had assumed victory before the fight began, but they were about to learn the galaxy's most dangerous lesson. Humans were not primitive. They were unpredictable. They were resilient. And they were ready to fight for their world. The Tharkai did not wait. As the first light of morning touched the cities below, their massive fleet moved into attack formation. Energy pulses streaked through the sky, hitting Earth's orbital stations with deafening explosions. Sparks flew from shattered satellites and debris rained down toward the atmosphere. Cities trembled, buildings shook, and alarms wailed across continents. People ran into the streets, staring up at the dark ships hovering in orbit. The Tharkai expected fear to paralyze the humans. Captain James Porter had been awake for hours, preparing for this moment. His command center was filled with the noise of alerts, flashing screens, and urgent voices. He looked at the map showing the alien fleet's movements and shook his head. They're hitting the orbital stations first, he said. That's smart. Without those satellites, our communication and defense systems are weaker. But we can't let them win this. Lieutenant Emma Hall stood beside him, scanning the incoming feeds from the orbital satellites. Her eyes widened as she saw the first stations explode. They're strong, Captain. Stronger than anything we've faced. But they're not invincible. We have to respond fast, or we lose everything in orbit. James nodded. Get the pilots ready. We'll intercept them before they hit the cities. Every second counts. Below on the streets, civilians screamed and ran. Cars collided in traffic jams, sirens blared, and the smell of smoke filled the air. But even in the chaos, humans showed courage. Firefighters guided people out of buildings, volunteers carried children and elderly to safe zones, and soldiers worked tirelessly to maintain some order. Ordinary people, terrified beyond belief, found themselves acting heroically without thinking, simply because survival demanded it. In orbit, James led a small fleet of human fighters toward the alien ships. The ships were far smaller than the Tharkai vessels, but the humans relied on speed, skill, and strategy. James's fighter streaked past debris, narrowly avoiding falling satellites. His heart pounded, but his mind was sharp. He studied the alien movements, predicting where they would fire next. Stick close, he ordered. Follow the patterns and hit them where they least expect it. Emma Hall's fighter darted through space like a silver streak. She had trained for impossible maneuvers, but nothing could fully prepare her for the reality of facing an enemy like the Tharkai. Energy blasts flashed around her, one grazing the edge of her ship. Sparks flew, but she did not panic. I see an opening, she said into her communicator. If I can get through their shields, I can disrupt their formation. Dr. Peter Collins, working from Earth's command center, activated the improvised energy shields over key cities. They were crude compared to the alien technology, but they worked. Blue arcs of energy formed protective domes, absorbing the worst of the attacks and preventing major destruction. Collins adjusted the shields constantly, calculating the aliens' energy patterns in real time. "We can hold for now," he said, voice tense but steady. "But we need to strike back. We can't just defend." The humans' fighters moved with precision, dodging fire and weaving between alien ships. James targeted smaller Tharkai vessels, striking them with missiles enhanced by modified technology. Emma aimed for the enemy's energy cannons, her ship twisting and flipping through impossible angles. The aliens, confident in their superiority, laughed as they fired at the human ships, expecting easy kills. Then, something unexpected happened. One of Emma's shots hit a critical junction on an alien ship, causing a chain reaction. Sparks and fire erupted across its hull, and it tumbled helplessly through space. Another human fighter, piloted by Lieutenant Mark Benson, struck a second ship, disabling its weapons. The humans' ingenuity was beginning to show. Varn, watching the battle from his command ship, frowned. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "They should be powerless. They are primitive. Why do they resist so effectively?" His officers exchanged nervous glances. None had seen anything like this. In the galaxy, power alone usually decided battles. But humans were not following normal rules. They adapted, they improvised, and they fought with courage that seemed to defy reason. On Earth, Collins monitored the situation closely. "Captain Porter, we have identified a pattern in their firing sequence," he said. "If you time your attacks to coincide with their energy cycles, you can reduce their shield effectiveness." James nodded, formulating a quick plan. "Emma, Mark, listen carefully. Watch the alien firing patterns. We strike together on my signal. Precision is everything. If we can take out their main formation, the rest of their fleet will be disorganized." Emma and Mark acknowledged the plan, their fingers steady on the controls. They trusted James, and more importantly, they trusted each other. In moments like this, trust and teamwork were as important as any weapon. The humans executed their maneuver flawlessly. As the aliens fired, the human fighters slipped through the energy blasts and targeted the key ships. One by one, the alien vessels were disabled, drifting through space with sparking hulls and powerless engines. The Tharkai had never faced an enemy capable of such coordinated attacks. In the command center, James watched as the first signs of victory appeared. "We're hitting them," he said. "They didn't expect this. Keep pushing. Don't let up." On the streets below, people began to notice a change. The explosions in orbit became fewer, and the alien ships moved less aggressively. Hope spread, quietly at first, but growing stronger with every moment. Humans were fighting back. Humans were resisting. Humans were not the easy prey the Tharkai had assumed. Emma Hall maneuvered her ship to strike the final remaining alien energy cannon in the fleet's forward formation. With a precise shot, it exploded in a burst of fire and energy, sending shockwaves through the alien ranks. Mark Benson followed immediately, targeting another vulnerable ship. The Tharkai fleet was in disarray, and the humans had gained the upper hand. Varn's eyes narrowed. "They are not like the other species we have conquered," he said quietly. "They are unpredictable and dangerous. We may have underestimated them." James, Emma, and the human pilots continued to push forward, striking where the aliens were weakest, using every skill and bit of knowledge they had. Dr. Collins adjusted the shields in real time, keeping civilians safe below. Together, humans fought not with sheer power, but with intelligence, teamwork, and courage. The first strike had begun as a test of strength by the Tharkai, but it became the moment humans proved themselves. The aliens had laughed at their defenses, expecting them to crumble, but instead humans fought back with unexpected strategy and skill. For the first time, the Tharkai understood that their assumptions were wrong. And in that realization, a seed of fear began to grow. Humans were not primitive. Humans were capable of great ingenuity, daring courage, and fierce determination. In the sky above, the first human victory flickered like a small star, signaling the start of a war the Tharkai would never forget. The orbital stations were damaged, but the humans' improvisation and bravery had saved countless lives. The cities below remained largely intact, thanks to the shields and careful planning. And above all, the humans had learned a valuable lesson: they could fight. They could win. They were stronger than anyone believed, even the most powerful species in the galaxy. The sky burned with the final energy blasts of the day as the alien fleet pulled back slightly, confused and cautious. Captain James Porter looked at Emma Hall and said, "This is only the beginning. They think they have power, but we have something they don't: courage, creativity, and the will to survive." Emma nodded. "We've shown them what humans can do. They'll remember this." Dr. Collins, exhausted but alert, added, and they will realize that underestimating humans was a mistake. One they won't soon forget. The battle had only just begun, but already humans had proven that they were not weak. They were clever, resilient, and unpredictable. And the Tharkai, who thought victory would be easy, were beginning to understand that this war would be unlike any they had fought before. Humans did not wait for the aliens to strike again. They learned quickly, adapting to the Tharkai's technology and tactics with speed that surprised even their own leaders. In hidden laboratories and workshops across Earth, engineers like Anna Gray and Michael Lewis worked tirelessly. They examined the alien ships that had been damaged or disabled in the first strike, carefully studying their energy systems, weapons, and engines. Every piece of alien technology was a puzzle, and the humans solved it with determination and ingenuity. Anna and Michael worked side by side in the main research lab, blueprints and digital schematics spread across the walls. "If we can reverse engineer their energy shields," Anna said, pointing at a holographic diagram, "we could adapt it for our ships. Even if only partially, it would give our pilots an edge." Michael nodded. "And their weapon systems rely heavily on concentrated energy pulses. If we can interfere with the pulse timing, we could disable their ships temporarily without destroying them. That would give us a chance to strike their fleet in formation." Above them, in orbit, Captain James Porter was preparing a daring plan. The humans were outnumbered, but they had learned the aliens' weaknesses from the earlier skirmishes. Using modified ships and adapted weapons, he intended to launch a direct attack on the Tharkai command ship, the largest and most protected vessel in the enemy fleet. If they could disable the command ship, the rest of the alien fleet would lose coordination, leaving them vulnerable. Emma Hall was briefed on the plan. Her eyes sparkled with focus and determination. She had already proven her skill during the first strike, but this mission would be even more dangerous. The Tharkai command ship was heavily guarded, bristling with energy cannons and fighter escorts. "I understand, Captain," she said. "We have one chance to do this. Timing and precision are everything. If I falter, the mission fails." James placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I have faith in you, Emma. We've trained for this and we have the knowledge now. Remember, the aliens think they are untouchable. That confidence will be their weakness. We strike where they least expect it." Back on Earth, Dr. Peter Collins monitored the aliens' communications and sensor signals. He had discovered a critical fact. The Tharkai relied heavily on a central communication hub located in the heart of the command ship. It coordinated the movements of the entire fleet. Destroy or disable it, and the aliens would lose synchronization. Their strength came from coordination, and humans were about to shatter it. Collins briefed James over the communicator. "Captain, their command ship is the key. All smaller ships rely on it for orders. If we can disable the hub, their fleet will falter. We can use our adapted energy disruptors to overload their system temporarily. It's risky, but it's our best shot." James considered the plan carefully. "Risky, yes, but it's our only option. We launch at dawn. Emma, you lead the strike. Mark and the other pilots follow. Timing is everything. Everyone must hit their targets precisely." As the humans' fleet prepared for the raid, the Tharkai remained confident. Commander Varn watched the preparations from his bridge, unaware that humans had learned from the first strike. "They are primitive," he said, his voice calm but firm. "They may resist, but they cannot harm the command ship. We will crush them quickly and decisively." The raid began with silence. Human fighters, smaller and faster than the alien vessels, slipped through gaps in the Tharkai fleet. Each pilot knew their role. Emma Hall led the formation, her movements sharp and precise, dodging energy blasts and weaving between enemy ships. Behind her, Mark Benson and the other pilots followed, striking at weaker points in the fleet. Anna Gray and Michael Lewis watched the live feeds from the lab, holding their breath as the adapted energy disruptors were deployed. Collins coordinated with them, calculating the exact moment to trigger the pulse. The tension was unbearable. One mistake could mean the destruction of the entire human strike team. Emma's fighter approached the command ship. Its massive hull towered above her, energy cannons bristling, shields glowing bright blue. She felt a moment of fear but pushed it aside. This was the moment humans had trained for, the moment they would prove that intelligence and courage could match brute strength. "Disruptor ready," she said over the communicator. Collins confirmed the timing. "Now," he said. Emma fired the adapted energy pulse at the command ship. Sparks flew as the pulse hit the shield systems, overloading them temporarily. Energy surges rippled through the alien ship, causing internal alarms to blare. The command ship lurched, throwing off smaller ships in its vicinity. Mark and the other pilots struck immediately, targeting the alien fleet while it was disoriented. Varn's silver eyes widened in shock. What is happening?" he shouted. "They are interfering with our systems. This should be impossible." His officers scrambled to regain control, but the human strike had already created chaos. Without the command ship coordinating movements, the smaller alien ships collided, fired randomly, or drifted helplessly in space. The Tharkai, once confident, were now panicked. They had underestimated the humans' ability to learn, adapt, and strike where they were weakest. Emma's fighter weaved through the chaos, targeting the central hub again. Another pulse hit, and the command ship's communications went dark. Varn tried to restore order, but it was too late. The humans' precision, courage, and intelligence had broken the aliens' coordination. On Earth, Collins allowed himself a small smile. "It's working. They've lost control of their fleet. Humans are proving exactly what I thought. They are unpredictable and they are dangerous." James Porter, watching the raid unfold, felt a surge of pride. His pilots were doing exactly what humans did best, using brains, not just brute force. Every move had been calculated, every action precise. And yet, the humans also relied on instinct and courage, qualities the Tharkai could not predict or understand. The alien fleet began to retreat, but not entirely. Some ships still tried to fight back, firing blindly at the human fighters. Emma and Mark continued to strike, picking off the remaining ships systematically. Each human victory, small or large, sent a message across the galaxy. Humans could not be underestimated. Even as the battle continued, the humans knew it was far from over. The Tharkai were powerful, but humans had discovered their weakness. With cleverness, coordination, and courage, the humans had struck a decisive blow. The first step in the counterattack had succeeded beyond expectations. Anna and Michael documented every discovery, planning further improvements for future battles. Collins worked tirelessly, analyzing alien tactics and preparing new strategies. James Porter coordinated his fleet, knowing that this success was just the beginning. As the dust settled in orbit, James turned to Emma. "We did it," he said quietly. "We've shown them that humans are not weak. We've shown them that we can fight back." Emma nodded, exhausted but smiling. "And this is just the start. They will never see us the same way again." The Tharkai, meanwhile, retreated to regroup, their confidence shaken. Commander Varn understood something crucial. Humans were not primitive, weak, or predictable. They were clever, adaptable, and fearless. They were a species to respect and fear. The humans had struck first in the counterattack, and the galaxy was beginning to notice. Humans could fight with skill, strategy, and bravery. No longer would the Tharkai assume that humans were easy prey. In the silent depths of space, one truth had become clear. Humans were dangerous, and they were only beginning to show what they could do. The battle had moved beyond Earth's orbit. Space, once calm and vast, was now filled with streaks of energy fire, blazing trails from missiles, and the hum of countless engines. The humans had grown bolder, coordinating their attacks with precision that even the Tharkai could not anticipate. Fighter ships darted around massive alien vessels, weaving between the chaos of debris and energy blasts. Military drones, repurposed satellites, and automated defense systems worked together seamlessly, guided by the intelligence and quick thinking of humans on the ground and in space. Every human, from pilots to engineers, played a crucial role. Captain James Porter flew at the front of the human fleet. He felt the tension in his chest, but he remained calm. He studied the Tharkai ships carefully, noting patterns in their attacks. These aliens had superior technology, far more powerful weapons, and stronger defenses, but they had weaknesses. Humans had learned to see them, and now they were exploiting every one. Beside him, Emma Hall piloted her ship with unmatched precision. She dodged energy blasts that could have destroyed lesser fighters instantly. Her ship flipped, rolled, and weaved through the storm of alien fire, her fingers moving with practiced speed. She targeted vulnerable points in the enemy ships, disabling weapons and shields one by one. Each maneuver, each shot was calculated. Dr. Peter Collins monitored the energy flows of the alien fleet from the command center on Earth. He had developed a plan using the adapted energy disruptors that had worked during the earlier counterattack. By carefully timing the energy pulse, he could disable the engines of multiple alien ships at once, leaving them powerless. Collins typed commands quickly, sweat dripping down his face. "We're ready," he said into the communicator. "Hold your positions. Timing is everything. The pulse will hit in 3, 2, 1. A wave of blue energy spread through space, striking the alien fleet like a silent hammer. The engines of the Tharkai ships stuttered, flickered, and then died. One by one, massive alien vessels drifted helplessly through the void. Energy shields wavered and collapsed, leaving the ships exposed. The Tharkai, once confident and cruelly calm, were thrown into panic. Commander Varn roared orders, but they were useless. His fleet was uncoordinated, drifting without propulsion, their weapons misfiring. "Regain formation," he shouted. "Strike the humans. Do not let them win." But it was too late. The humans had seized the upper hand. On Earth, James Porter saw the effect of Colin's pulse. He turned to his fleet. "Now, hit every exposed ship. Focus on the vulnerable ones first." His voice carried authority and hope. Human fighters surged forward, attacking alien ships that could not move, dodging blasts from those that still had power. The humans struck with skill, precision, and bravery, making up for their smaller numbers and weaker technology. Emma Hall targeted the alien mothership, the largest and most powerful vessel in the fleet. Her ship darted through its defenses, evading turrets and beams of energy. She fired at the engine conduits, one by one, while James coordinated the other fighters to attack the remaining sections of the ship. Sparks and fire erupted as alien engines died, and the mothership began to drift like a massive wounded creature. The other human pilots followed Emma's lead, striking at isolated Tharkai vessels. Lieutenant Mark Benson disabled a long-range cannon with a precise missile strike. Another pilot, Sarah Williams, used a repurposed drone to jam the targeting systems of a nearby ship, causing it to misfire on itself. Each act of courage, skill, and intelligence weakened the alien fleet further. Dr. Collins continued to adjust the energy disruptors, targeting ships that threatened human fighters. "Focus on the clusters," he instructed. "Break them apart. Disrupt their communication lines further. Confusion is our ally." The Tharkai struggled to regain control, but the humans anticipated their moves. Every time the aliens tried to reorganize, the human fleet adapted instantly. Their communication was fast, precise, and clear. Their teamwork was unmatched, and their courage pushed them further than any alien could predict. Below, on Earth, people watched the sky. Telescopes and satellites captured the battle in vivid detail. The humans' courage and skill were visible even from the ground. Children gasped, and adults held their breath, seeing their pilots fight above the clouds. They began to understand something remarkable: humans were not victims. Humans were fighters. Humans were capable of greatness. In space, the battle reached the peak of intensity. Energy pulses streaked past, explosions lit the darkness like fleeting stars, and the debris of destroyed alien ships created new obstacles. Yet the humans pressed on. Captain James Porter coordinated attacks across the battlefield, directing fighters to strike where they could do the most damage. Emma Hall danced through the chaos, her ship a silver flash in the void. The mothership, the pride of the Tharkai fleet, was crippled. Its engines offline, it could not chase or escape. Human fighters surrounded it, disabling weapons and shields methodically. Sparks flew from its damaged hull, and fire erupted from breached energy conduits. The aliens inside scrambled, attempting to repair the damage, but the humans' relentless attack left no time. Commander Varn could only watch in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "They cannot win. Yet, they are winning." His confidence wavered. For the first time in his life he felt fear. The humans, whom he had thought primitive, were not only resisting, they were dominating. James Porter saw the moment of opportunity. "All units, converge on the mothership. Finish it now." Emma and the others executed the final maneuver, striking the ship's central systems. With a roar of energy and fire, the mothership's weapons shut down, and it drifted, powerless. The remaining alien vessels, seeing their command crippled, began to retreat. In the silence that followed, the humans looked around at the battlefield. They had done the impossible. Against superior technology, against overwhelming numbers, they had turned the tide. Their intelligence, courage, and teamwork had won the day. The galaxy watched. Even distant worlds observing through advanced sensors could not believe what they saw. The species they had once deemed primitive was now winning a war against one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. News spread quickly among other civilizations. Humans, thought weak and disorganized, had proven themselves capable, clever, and deadly. On Earth, celebrations were quiet but full of relief. Citizens cheered, hugged, and cried, but there was no complacency. They knew this was only one battle in a war that was far from over. Captain James Porter, Emma Hall, and Dr. Peter Collins debriefed with their teams, planning the next steps. The humans had shown the galaxy their strength, but they also knew they could not afford mistakes. James looked at Emma, pride shining in his eyes. We did it, but the war isn't over. They will come back. They always do. Emma nodded. Then we will be ready. We've learned their weaknesses and we've shown them what humans can do. Next time we will be even stronger. Collins, reviewing data from the disrupted Tharkai fleet, added, and we will keep improving. Every victory teaches us something new. Every failure makes us better. This is just the beginning. The Tharkai meanwhile retreated into deep space, confused and shocked. Their pride was wounded, their confidence shattered. They had thought humans primitive, weak and predictable. Now they knew the truth. Humans were not just survivors, they were a force. A force capable of strategy, courage and intelligence. A force that the galaxy would no longer dismiss. Above the stars, the humans regrouped. Ships repaired, systems restored and pilots ready. They had turned the war in their favor, proving that intelligence and teamwork could overcome sheer power. Captain James Porter addressed his fleet through the communicator. We've shown them what humans can do. But we remain vigilant. The galaxy may have underestimated us, but we will never underestimate the threat. Stay alert. Stay strong. We fight as one. And in that moment, humanity's power was clear. The humans, once thought primitive, were now the ones leading the battle. The stars themselves seemed to recognize their courage, and the galaxy would remember that day, the day humans turned the war and proved they were not to be underestimated. The surviving Tharkai ships retreated into the depths of space. Their retreat was slow and cautious, filled with fear and confusion. They had come to Earth expecting to conquer a primitive species, and instead they had been humiliated. Ships that were once symbols of terror now drifted damaged and powerless, evidence of human ingenuity and courage. Commander Varn watched his fleet slowly move away, a rare flicker of doubt in his molten silver eyes. He had underestimated humans, and now he knew that mistake could cost them dearly in the future. On Earth, the sky was quiet once again, though it bore scars from the battles above. Cities that had trembled under the first strike were still standing. Some buildings had been damaged and smoke rose from areas hit by debris, but overall humanity had survived. Captain James Porter surveyed the scene from the command center, his eyes steady. He could see the relief and cautious joy on the faces of his team. Humans had triumphed not because of sheer force, but because of creativity, courage and unity. He stood in front of a live broadcast screen, addressing people around the world. Millions watched, some still in shock from what they had witnessed in the skies above. We have survived because we never gave up, James said, his voice calm but firm. Humans are not weak. We adapt, we fight and we rise. Today we have proven something to the galaxy. Underestimating humans is a grave mistake. And we will never let anyone forget it. Emma Hall, exhausted but proud, watched from the operations deck. She had flown through impossible maneuvers, dodged energy blasts, and led the critical strike against the alien mothership. Her hands rested on the railing as she looked at the horizon, remembering every moment of fear, tension, and courage. She knew the work was not over. Humans had survived this battle, but there would be others in the future. Training the next generation of pilots became her priority. Young men and women who had only dreamed of flying through the stars would now be ready to defend Earth, guided by the experience of those who had fought and survived. In laboratories and workshops across the world, Dr. Peter Collins and his team worked tirelessly. They studied captured alien technology, learning every detail, every advantage they could use. The alien weapons, energy shields, and communication systems were complex, but human intelligence had proven capable of understanding them. Collins understood that this knowledge would be critical in preparing for the next threat. Humans had fought one of the galaxy's most powerful fleets and survived, but the universe was vast and more dangers would come. Preparation was essential. The battle had taught humanity valuable lessons. It was not just technology or weapons that had won the day, it was the combination of intelligence, courage, and teamwork. Soldiers, pilots, engineers, scientists, and civilians had all played a part. Ordinary people had stepped into extraordinary roles. The planet had faced destruction and fear, yet humans had worked together, using every resource at their disposal. The lesson was clear. Unity and determination could overcome even the most powerful enemy. Across the world, communities began to rebuild. Cities that had been damaged were repaired, hospitals treated the wounded, and families reunited. People spoke of bravery, of heroes who had risked everything to defend Earth. Captain James Porter visited several of the frontline bases, meeting pilots and soldiers, offering praise and encouragement. He knew that every individual had contributed to humanity's survival, and he wanted them to know their efforts mattered. In space, the remnants of the Tharkai fleet moved slowly away from Earth, their pride shattered. They had thought humans were easy prey, predictable and weak. Now they knew the truth. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and fearless. The galaxy would have to take note of this species that had survived the unthinkable. Planets far from Earth would whisper the stories of human bravery and ingenuity. Humans had sent a message across the stars. They were not to be underestimated. Back on Earth, Emma Hall supervised the training of new pilots. Young recruits who had only seen humans as a simple, vulnerable species now trained under experienced veterans. She demonstrated maneuvers, shared lessons from combat, and encouraged them to think creatively. "The galaxy does not understand us yet," she said to her students. "But that is our strength. We adapt. We learn. And when we fight with our minds as well as our courage. Remember that, and you will be ready for anything." Dr. Peter Collins, working late into the night in his lab, reflected on the battle. Every discovery, every adaptation, every victory had come from human intelligence and perseverance. The Tharkai's technology had been powerful, but human ingenuity had proven stronger. Collins knew that this knowledge would be the foundation for the future. Humanity would continue to study, improve and prepare. One day they might not just defend, they might lead the galaxy in ways no one could predict. James Porter, standing on the observation deck of the command center, looked at the stars. The battle had left Earth scarred, but humans had risen stronger. The lessons were clear: bravery, unity, and creativity could defeat even the most formidable foe. He remembered the first day the Tharkai had appeared, expecting an easy victory. Now the humans had shown them a truth they could not ignore. Humans were not weak. Humans could fight, adapt, and triumph. News of the human victory spread throughout the galaxy. Allied civilizations who had once looked down on Earth began to see the species in a new light. Even distant observers who had doubted humanity's potential started reconsidering. The humans' courage, resilience, and ingenuity had earned them respect beyond their home planet. Yet, for the humans themselves, the victory was both joyful and sobering. They knew that the galaxy was vast and full of unknown dangers. The Tharkai fleet had been defeated for now, but the universe contained countless other species, some even more powerful. Preparation, vigilance, and unity would be essential. Humanity had survived this battle not through luck, but through determination, intelligence, and the willingness to fight together. Emma Hall continued her training programs, passing on knowledge of tactics, strategies, and piloting skills. She wanted the next generation to be prepared for the unknown challenges of space. Dr. Collins continued his work, decoding and understanding alien technology, ensuring that Earth would not be caught off guard again. James Porter coordinated global defenses, planning for a future where humans would always be ready, no matter the threat. The world had changed. Humanity had risen from a species once underestimated to one that had proven its strength and ingenuity. Every person, from the pilots in orbit to the engineers in labs, to the civilians who had endured fear and chaos, had contributed to this triumph. It was a victory built on unity, courage, and the refusal to give up. The Tharkai, humiliated and retreating, would remember this day. They had thought they were superior, and yet they had faced humans and lost. The galaxy would remember too. Humans had sent a message across the stars. They were clever, adaptable, and dangerous when challenged. Underestimating them was a grave mistake. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Schools reopened, families rebuilt homes, and cities restored what had been damaged. Yet the memory of the battle remained. Monuments were built to honor those who had fought. Stories of heroism spread, not only to teach future generations but to remind everyone of the courage that had saved the planet. Captain James Porter addressed his team one last time before taking a moment to rest. "We have survived because we never gave up. Humans are not weak. We adapt, we fight, and we rise. We will continue to learn, improve, and protect our planet. And we will make sure that anyone who underestimates humanity remembers our strength." The stars shone above Earth, peaceful for the moment, but now filled with the knowledge that humanity had emerged victorious. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species that had once been dismissed, but now demanded respect. Humans had proven one undeniable truth: when challenged, they would fight with courage, intelligence, and unity, and they would prevail.